Chakra. This is the power that drives the world that we find ourselves in now today. All people who reside in it have said energy within them. Without it, we would mean death. It would mean death to us. Yet in life, there is always that one anomaly that goes against the natural order of things. And this is the story of them. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze was born alongside his brother Menma and the son of the infamous shinobi Kushina Uzumaki, who was one of, if not the last of the once great Uzumaki clan, as well as Minato Namikaze, the man who single-handedly ended a war with his own infamous, infam- infamous of Jutsu in the Third Shinobi War. But two of them were so very happy to see their sons breathe new life which they feared, for, for since there were complications with the carnage itself, and it was only with the aid of Tsunade Senju, one of the best medical minds around, that they both were born without complications. But soon their happiness turned to worry as Tsunade sensed something off about Naruto, and took him away to run a few tests to ensure everything was alright with him. His parents held onto Menma, and they waited with held breath to hear what was wrong. Soon enough, Tsunade came back with a look of a shock and worry on her face. She told them that Naruto was born without chakra. Not a single bit of chakra resided within him. This shocked the two of them to hear this, since the boy was alive, and yet the very energy needed to live was not in him. How was this possible? Yet even with his of abnormality, they loved him all the same, since he was their son. So they took him along with his brother home, and began their life as a family. But happiness did not last for long. As time went by, 5 years of it to be exact, Naruto became more of a nuisance for the family. They began to resent and loathe him. When people got hurt, the chakra within them helped to heal them, yet he could not, so it took longer. When Menma trained to get to be a great shinobi, and Naruto wanted to join in as well, yet he could not. He heard the insults sent his way by others in the village of Konoha, who all saw him as some sort of abomination, and should just die, since he lacked the energy that kept people alive, and went against natural order. He was bullied many times, and yet his own parents cared less and less about him daily, and told him to handle his own problems, since his handicap fate could not always be there to aid him, so he would have to fend for himself. Hell, in time, his own brother began to bully him as well, and look down upon him. He- to look down upon him. His parents helped him dress his wounds at first, but other times they started to ignore them, to the point that they just refused to help him altogether. What Naruto was unaware of was that his parents heard of the horrible things that had been said about Naruto. At first, and and a while at first, they were pissed to hear such things, like any parent should be. They began to agree with them in time, since in their own minds, Naruto was becoming more and more of a nuisance to them, as well as smooch on their clan's infamous status. How can they claim to be powerful as well and infamous if one of their few members was quite literally the weakest that one could possibly be, without the means to become stronger and overcome the weakness? What made the situation even worse was the drive that Jiraiya, known as the Toad Sage, had come to both of them and spoke of a prophecy that involved Menma. He had heard it from the Toad Elder himself, and it went like this. A battle will be waged for one for the ages, demons sealed locked in cages, one void of color, black as of light, the other white while colorful is not of the light. One will be trained by the best to fight off any danger, the other will not, gifted only so little by a stranger who has more power than deemed fair. Yet the fate of our world, for it he does not care. They will fight, and one shall fall. The winner will either save us or doom all of us. This bit of news became unsettling to Minato and Kushina, who came to the conclusion that Menma will be the one to save them. Yet, from what what was the prophecy, major questions. What was the prophecy was very odd, at least to Naruto. According to it, there was a stranger who had more power than they could honestly imagine, and the only saving grace to the whole thing was that this stranger, who would give the small bit to one that Menma would have to face in the future. They had no idea or even means to figure out how strong of an opponent Menma would be facing. So it would be then that they prepared to fight fully trained Menma to be the best shinobi there was, since according to the prophecy, he was the catalyst of their survival. So since they put all their time and effort into Naruto's training, Menma, Naruto was at a point pointfully ignored, since by that point of time they had come to see he was worthless in their eyes, nothing more than a smooch and a weakling. Menma was no better for Naruto than, than their parents. His ignorance only only intensified as at the age of 6, when Kushina and Minato sealed the nine-tailed Kyuubi within him, making him the newest Jinchuriki of the beast. The newest to withhold the power of the mighty Jinchuriki, the mighty Kyuubi. Naruto trained hard. Naruto trained hard that day, day after day, in hopes of getting stronger, so that his parents would notice him. But he was left alone most of the time, and the emotional strain was getting to be too much for Naruto to bear. At times, it would seem like he didn't have a family, and that his parents were doing this in preparation to get rid of him in some way. That was what he feared, and on his 7th birthday, his fears became a reality. The birthday was big, with all the other clan heads showing up with all their children. There were gifts galore, all for Menma, and of course, and plenty of food and sweets. Naruto was ignored by all of them, and was the usual, and as he sat in the corner with a sad face. It was near the end of the party, and Menma was named the sole heir of a Uzumaki as well as a Namikaze name, which while all those in attendance cheered, Naruto felt a pit in his stomach grow. It was but then that Menma was tasked with one of the duties of his future role, and walked over and grabbed Naruto by the arm. He essentially pulled him out of the house, and the other kids laughed at him and threw him out into the streets, not to try to get back inside, but the seal had been changed, and he was not able to open the door anymore. Naruto thought that this was a cruel joke of some kind and asked to be let in, but they didn't open the gate and went inside to enjoy the rest of the party. Naruto cried Cause as he waited for them to be done and let him back inside, hoping that he would be allowed back in. But when the others let to go home and he walked through the gate, Minato was the one to throw him out this time. His sad Minato was the one who threw him out this time. He said not a word, but simply handed Naruto a pack a pack filled with some clothes, food, and a letter before he closed the gate once more, barring Naruto from ever entering again. Naruto's tears only intensified as he fell to his knees and read the letter given to him. It was on the day that both parents as well as Menma saw him just as well as everyone else did. An abomination, a stain on the legacy of two great clans, not worth the time and effort. Yet while they fought this, they would not kill him, and threw him out, let nature take of course. For nature made Naruto the way he was. It could fix it as well. They, the letter was the documentation to disown him, to know he was no longer an Uzumaki nor a Namikaze. To with a heavy heart, Naruto wiped the tears from his eyes, picked up his pack, and began his journey with no set destination in mind outside the village. He knew that he couldn't stay anymore, where since pretty much everyone saw him as a freak. No, he would let out to find somewhere new. No one knew him, and could get a fresh start. But as he walked, he was unaware of the dark entity that began to awaken inside him, and would not know about such thing for quite some time. I'm gonna end it here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this part. This is part one, just a test run if you guys like it. Next part will be a lot, a lot longer, and I need 20 likes to get part two on this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed.